What is up? Welcome back to the channel. This is Dylan, and today we're going to dive into Series 2 of the Major Bendies. I know at the end of the last one I said there was like kind of a subset. So the subset did come out before Series 2, but the way I had them hanging on the wall, it was easier to get Series 2 down. So we're going to talk about Series 2 today. There is 6 figures in this set. They did something a little bit different for Series 2. And we'll get to that in a second. But let's dive into the main 4 figures, and then the other 2 are kind of extra that they added, just not added, but like they was the different thing they did for Series 2. Anyways, let's start with the first one. This is Nick Gage. Sorry about the glare. I did get a new light, so hopefully it's a little bit brighter. But there is going to be some glare on some of the plastic and stuff just because of the light, as you can see it there. Boop, there it is. Boop, 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 boop. Anyways, this is Nick Gage. He comes with the pizza cutter molded in his hand. Got the camo shorts, all that. But there is the back with the card. You can see the cross cell there that has Nick Gage, Adam Baum, or Brian Clark, because they're not allowed to use Adam Baum, Brian Pillman, and then there is Danhausen as well. That is the set of 4 for Series 2. There is, like I said, there's the card. Sorry about the light. Like I said, it's going to be somewhat difficult sometimes, but we'll play with it and see. And as I do more videos and experiment, it'll get a little better hopefully as well. But there is Nick Gage. This was like pretty hot on the heels of Nick Gage's and Matt Cardona's death match for the GCW world title. So he had a lot of kind of momentum going at that point. And so it was a good time to get him in the line. And they did really well with that. The first kind of extra figure for this line is of Nick Gage. And what they did was a chase variant where he's all bloody. So the figure itself is exactly the same. They just added the blood deco hits that you can see on his arm and in his hand there, on his face, his eye, his other arm there, and then the major chase sticker here. The back of the card is exactly the same. You got the same exact trading card with it as well, as you see there. So there is the Chase Nick Gage. Now, these were actual Chase figures. So you would, for me personally, I pre-ordered the entire set of 4 for Series 2, and then there was 2 chases as well. So when I got my order of Series 2, my Nick Gage, I did not get this one. I got the chase one right here. So this specific figure I had to buy on the secondary market, or maybe I did buy, maybe they did sell this as a single at one point on their website. I can't remember. But I did have to get that Nick Gage at a different time because I didn't get him when I ordered the set. That's kind of how a true chase works. You order something with the potential of getting the chase. And that's how they did this Series 2. Now, that didn't last super long. We'll talk about it more when we get into some of the other series with the chases. I believe this was the only series where they did a true chase for the Major Bendies. I think they made a good call from a standpoint of most of their fan base are hardcore collectors that want to complete an entire line. So anybody that was kind of buying these, they were either buying Nick Gage as just a one-off, so they wanted this specific figure, and them getting the chase would have been a disappointment, and or they were somebody like me who wanted to do the whole line and wanted every figure. So that's why they stopped doing the true chases. They still do a version of a chase, but you actually buy the chase and you know what you're exactly going to get. Whereas with this, I could have either gotten the regular one or the bloody one I showed you. I had no idea at the time. It just so happened that I got the bloody one, which was cool because chases are usually more expensive on the secondary market. So I was more than fine having to find the regular version on the secondary market because it wasn't, I paid, I think, regular price for it wherever I got it. I don't know. I can't remember if I got it off of eBay or if I got it like from somebody else in the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast Facebook group. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I did have to get that one on the secondary market. So the next one is Brian Clark. This is totally based on his Adam Bomb character from the WWE. However, they are not allowed to use that due to trademark and whatever and legalities. So they just went with his real name, which is Brian Clark. So basically any kind of form of Brian Clark, they just use the Brian Clark name. I think he is getting some other figures. I know he has Chronic, I believe, is coming out from when he was in that tag team, but this is Adam Bomb. This is his first figure for quite a while. I mean, I'm pretty sure he had some like Jack's Classic Superstars as Adam Bomb. I don't know if he had any other previous figures from like, obviously he had some other characters that he portrayed, but I'm not sure how many other figures Brian Clark has actually had, but this was one of the first ones in a while because Jack's Classic Superstars was quite a while ago. But yeah, I did forget to mention, there's your Series 2 kind of insignia. That's the only thing really different with these cards compared to Series 1 is that it says Series 2 right there. There's the back of the card. So there's what the Brian Clark card looks like, the trading card. Everything's the same as the Nick Gage there, but there's Brian Clark. Brian Clark then is also the other one that has a chase. Now, the story behind this chase is back when WWF Just Toys Bendies were going on in the like early, mid to late 90s in that era, they had a promotional shoot, I believe it was, or some type of promotional thing where they had like Diesel and Razor, maybe a couple other guys, but I know Diesel and Razor for sure were there. And they had pictures of this Adam Bomb that was supposed to come out with WWF Just Toys Bendies. So the major guys took that picture and recreated the figure here and made it the chase. So this is what that WWF Toys Just Bendies was supposed to look like. Pretty close, at least. I mean, based on a grainy picture kind of thing, but it was supposed to look similar to this one here. But so that's where this chase came from, was that Just Toys Bendies picture. So you can kind of see the differences where the color is a little bit different. Some of the gear deco hits are slightly different, things like that. But that's where they got this chase from, or why they made this a chase figure kind of thing. So this one I did not get when I ordered mine. So when I ordered my original Series 2 set of 4, I got the regular Adam Bomb. This one I had to chase down. This one took me a while. Like I said, I hang these all on the wall, so they're all kind of, you know, like tile or whatever you want to call it across the wall. And this one, there was a gap for quite a while, mainly because I didn't want to pay a super ton of money. So like usually when figures come out right at first, the chases are super, super expensive because the people that are like, you know, FOMO, gotta have it kind of thing are going crazy for them, and then they'll come down in price. So I waited, and I may have paid a little bit up for this, but I don't remember exactly. I can't imagine it was more than $50 though. So a little bit up, but not too bad, especially to get a chase. And it came with the card as well. So I have the card for this one, even though I bought it on the secondary market. So that's always cool there. But that is the Adam Bomb or Brian Clark chase, if you will. And then we had Danhausen. Now, Danhausen is a huge name on the indie scene. Everybody loves his kind of goofy gimmick, goofy character that he portrays. He's like an evil kind of magician slash mime slash just silly guy. He, you know, got the face paint there. He's almost always in character. Very similar to The Undertaker, where even if you saw him out in public, he was always in character, and you very rarely saw The Undertaker in public. Danhausen goes in public a lot more and does a lot more signings and things like that than The Undertaker ever did during his prime, but he's always in character. Always has the paint. I don't know if I've ever seen him without the paint. I'm sure there's pictures and stuff and you could find it, but I've seen him at multiple cons. I've seen him in multiple different places where I've seen him live. Always in character. Before the matches, around the arena, like super, super good when it comes to staying in character. And again, this may be one of his very first figures. Micro Brawlers might be the only one that would have beaten Danhausen. or to market. And actually, there's one other Major Bendy that technically may have come out before this one that we'll talk about. That was a store exclusive, so I'm going to do a video on some store exclusives coming up soon, and we'll talk about that Danhausen. So that one may have beat this one technically, but again, very, very cool to see the Major Bendies get some of these guys out with some of their first, or first few figures. But there's Danhausen. The detail on the tattoo is really good, I think, for a bendy type figure. I mean, it's not supposed to be like an elite or an ultimate that's like super, super detailed and everything, but I think they did really well on the tattoo there. There's the back with the card. There he is, kind of with one of his like little poses, like a mischievous type of pose, but that's what I mean. He's just kind of a silly guy, does a lot of weird, mischievous things. Like I said, kind of like an evil magician almost. He is a good guy, so he's not a villain, but like when I see him, sometimes I think of like the evil magician or like the evil vampire or that kind of effect. But that's Danhausen, super, super popular. He's cooled off a lot since this came out. This, again, just like the Nick Gage, this came out at a huge, huge time. So they did really well on getting this out when they did, but definitely cooled off a little bit. But I'm sure he'll be back. He's such a fun character, such a fun gimmick that he'll be back around. He'll be popular still. It'd be interesting to see him in the WWE. I don't know what they would do with his gimmick, which would be unfortunate if they ruined it, but it would be cool to see that big machine behind him to get some kind of cool merch. He's got some stuff in the AEW, but anyways, we'll get to the last figure here. This is Brian Pillman. Now, this is based off of his kind of late WWE run. Kind of like when he first kind of got to WWE, in my opinion, like when he was feuding with Austin and some of that kind of stuff. I feel like it's like right before the Hart Foundation stuff, but I don't know exactly like what this gear portrays or like if he ever wore the Mankind looking shirt there, or like the half smile shirt. I guess it's not technically Mankind. It's like a half smile where the one side is like decaying, kind of like a Jack Skellington type of deal. But really, really cool. This is another one that I don't know that Pillman had too many figures since, the Jax days or the Bone, like classic superstars he may have been in. I'm not really sure even, but really, really cool to see this. And actually, Mattel did have an elite of Pillman, so they did have an elite from him a couple years back. They also did just get him back because his son is wrestling for the WWE now, so the WWE has the rights to make Mattel figures, so he is getting more elites coming up soon, so that'll be cool to get. But this Major Bendy was definitely an awesome thing to see. This is one of the few guys that they've done in the Major Bendies that is passed on. That's one thing. The Major guys really, really like signatures. They really, really like fans to be able to get their stuff signed. So they've done a majority of guys that are still alive. I think they're maybe if they have 5 guys that have passed away out of the whole line, I'd be surprised. I can think of maybe 3 off the top of my head. Maybe it is about 5 as I think about it more, but this is one here, and it is very unfortunate that he passed when he did, but very cool to see this in the line. Very cool to see that they did it, even though you can't get this signed by him. There's the backside with the card. There's the cross cell again. Everything's the same. The card looks really good, actually, I think. I think this is a very good card with his facial expression and everything. Looks very, very cool there. Like I said, really, really cool. Really fun to get a Brian Pillman figure. Brian Pillman is an awesome talent. He's one of Brian Myers, if not Brian Myers' favorite wrestler of all time. So I'm sure Brian was super, super stoked to get this in their line, and really happy that they did. But yes, and one more thing about the signature thing. I have seen some people that want to do the whole set. They have a whole set of signed figures. I have seen some that have done like his son, Brian Pillman Jr. I don't even know if that's his name or if that's just what they call him in wrestling, to be honest. I'm not sure if that's his real name or not, but I have seen people have him sign it just so like when they display everything together, it looks all uniform instead of having one missing. So that's kind of cool to do. I probably won't do something like that just because, like, I'd want to have it represented that this came out after he passed, to where, like, Danhausen I could still get signed tomorrow if I ran into him or something like that. Whereas Pillman, I don't mind it being unsigned on my wall because I know this came out after he had passed away, so that doesn't bother me. But to each their own. I mean, I don't blame somebody for wanting to do that to make everything look the same. Totally get it, but not for me. But other than that, that is all of Series 2. So there was 4 base figures that you would pre-order. So you would pay for 4 figures, and then you had the potential to get one of 2 chases. Or you could get one or both or none. There was no rhyme. It was all random. But so that's where there's 6 total figures that came out with Series 2. There's 6 total figures that have the Series 2 banner on it that represent Series 2. But at the time of pre-order, you would only order 4, and that's what you would get in the mail, or 4 or whatever. You could also order them individually, so like you could just buy Atom Bomb and potentially in your 1 figure purchase get the chase kind of thing. So, but you get what I'm saying, whereas like you couldn't buy these chases separately. In the future, you can, and we'll get to that when we start to go through that. But anyways, I think I've beaten a dead horse there. You guys get what I'm saying. So this is Series 2 of the Major Bendies. This is when they are just starting to get cooking. Like I said, we have one subset that came in the middle of Series 1 and Series 2, and we'll talk about that. It should be in the next one, because that'll be the next set of figures that I can take down off the wall. But this is where they really start cooking. They're going to start cranking out figures like crazy at this point. Obviously, you won't see that here because I'll just talk about them in chunks. But this is when the Major Pod guys really started cranking out figures. You'll start to see like some repaints of Matt and Brian, some repaints of some of their other buddies, some things like that. So it's starting to get really exciting for Major Bendies fans like myself at this point. And we're just getting started. We got a lot more to talk about, a lot more figures to go over, a lot more fun to be had. So hope you enjoy this. Hope you guys stay with me. Hope you guys like the deep dives. But that is Major Bendies Series 2 on the Average Toy Collector. I will see you guys in the next one.